Scripting, strategy, and anything research related for a business owner is completely separate from, let's say, an influencer or somebody else making content. And this is something I've seen time and time again, and people don't necessarily seem to understand this. When it comes to creating content, who you go to matters the most because content is kind of like its whole own industry, and you have to go to the right person to make sure you get the right advice for your specific needs. Because let's say if you're a business owner and you only serve, let's say, the Texas market as an example, or the entire United States, but we'll use Texas in this example, and you want to, of course, make more sales for your business. You want more, like local customers, you want more sales coming in, basically, whatever the service is. And, of course, you want to use content or even paid ads to help you with this or speed this process up. You think, of course, you need, a lot more people. You need to, triple, quadruple your reach. You need all the views, likes, followers you can get, which is, of course, the right process and the right framing of mind. But then let's say you go to an influencer who has what you need, who has the followers, likes, and the engagement, and you ask for advice on what you need to create. The advice you might get from them might be completely irrelevant to you because let's say you follow exactly what they say and it works for you, and you're now sitting at 20,000 followers, your reels are getting, 50,000 views, 100,000 views, and you quickly realize after 30 days that, you check your insights, and all of them are like in Japan, Kenya, they're in like India, they're in Bangladesh. Some of are in Texas, let's say too, but a very low percentage because maybe your content isn't necessarily talking about what you're good at. It's only talking about some meme stuff, some virality. It's just made for entertainment purposes. And if you look into this extremely logically, and I want you to think about this with me for a second, people who are looking to be entertained on this platform, there's pretty much unlimited amount of people. Like everyone wants to be entertained on these platforms. A very few amount of people, let's say within your target market too, or just in general, are looking to be educated. And of course, even smaller market or smaller amount of people who are looking to be educated on your specific solution or whatever your service is. Like a very small majority of people are at any given time on these platforms make the right fit for your specific content. So chasing views and followers are fine. And of course, do that. But you just have to make sure you're being strategic with it. You have to make sure that the right type of people are watching your content. Because if the math comes down to 100,000 people are watching your videos, but nobody cares about your product versus 1,000 views, but 80% of them are within Texas or within your core target market, always go for the 1,000 views. Like just always do that because that content is specifically being delivered to that specific person. And that specific person will appreciate that type of content because it is perhaps a solution or something that is of actual value to them. So it's going to match you with the right person. So it's just a very important concept to make sure that, being in the right frame as a business owner on what type of content you need to create and what your specific strategy is going to make the difference. Because the way you use content is just for credibility. You do not necessarily need 200,000 followers. Maybe if you're a boba shop team, maybe if you're like a restaurant, maybe if you're like, some sort of very low ticket offer, you can perhaps accumulate that following very fast. And then of course go for it. But keep in mind, even if you have 10 to 20,000 followers, 50,000 followers, and even 5 to 6,000 followers, you can easily make a lot of cash. You can make like 6 to 7 figures on a month-to-month basis if you just have the right people visiting your stuff at all times. Because you're just reaching volume amount of people, like a big volume, and in your specific target market. And that's what actually matters. So when it comes to the actual, let's say, the scripting and research, you might have a question, well, Arib, what should I actually talk about? So within your first 30 posts, what I can advise you to do is every business has a competitor. So I would look into your competitors' pages, see what's already working for them. So let's say you have competitor A, B, C, D. You go into all of their pages and then find content that is actually working best for them. And Instagram has made it pretty easy as well to do this. All you have to do is just click on the Reels tab, and on the Reels icon, you'll see kind of like a drop-down arrow. You click on that and then you just switch it to popular. And then as soon as you switch it to popular, you'll see all of their most popular reels. And just write down 5 to 6 of them that have actually done pretty well. And a good indicator of a reel doing well is pretty simple. So let's say your competitor has 8,000 followers and the video they made got 200,000 views, which logically means it's not necessarily just their followers who saw that content. It was distributed amongst a lot more people and it was something that was favored by the algorithm. And I'm not saying to point blank copy this specific idea. This is mainly me telling you that someone has already done the homework. Just write those ideas down and execute a version of that onto your own profile, because this would save you a lot of time, because content is not necessarily like, you don't necessarily have to create new ideas all the time. Like that's not necessarily what you want to do. You have to, of course, talk about some of the solutions, some of the pain points, objections. That's something you can do. But especially when it comes to just, creating some ideas that have like a backbone behind it, it has some potential to go out there and perform, start over there. And then the next type of ideas are pretty much like I said, like talk about the objections that you always face within your content. Talk about the pain points. Like what are your customers' biggest pain points? Like write down all of those things, and those are pretty much content ideas for you as well. Another thing we like to do is go into Google search, Instagram search, TikTok search, and actually seeing what people are asking for your specific services. So whatever your specific services are, you can go to Google Trends and then kind of like write down all of the questions that people ask for your specific services. How does XYZ work? What to do when ABC happens? And this is something you can, of course, count it as maybe your homework. But you can go to like a reel that has 5 million views within your niche, and you can go to the comment section, and then you can literally see kind of like a lot of comments that are not necessarily super answered in detail. But let's say if a comment has like 4,000 likes, that means 4,000 people are also interested within that specific question. So you can just take all of those and start writing those down and answer it in a separate video that you can create on your specific feed. So you can just do this for literally the next 60 videos if you wanted to. But in our case, we do it for like the next 15 to 30, and we want to start off with proven concepts first. Like we're not toying around with new ideas. That's not something we want to do. So yeah, very, very important to follow this concept. So this would give you a pretty much head start on you creating the right type of content. So you're going to be reaching the right type of people. And you're also starting with the right type of content strategies. You know exactly what to post. You know exactly where to look for ideas in general. And then also what research you need to be applying for yourself to actually go ahead and create this type of content. Now, of course, you can use a tool like GPT, or like you can use a tool like Poppy. I highly recommend using Poppy because it just visualizes everything for you. So you can take all of those ideas that you took down from your competitors, put this into this Poppy board, and then it just kind of like create a whole list. And then you can, of course, talk to the Poppy board and then utilize AI to like make you full scripts on what you exactly need to do if it is something that a script is perhaps required for. And even with AI, like don't necessarily use it lazily. Like I see people get so lazy when it comes to using AI for some reason. Like treat it as kind of like you're talking to a friend. So let's say you have a friend sitting right next to you, and then you want them to create you scripts. What are some of the questions they're going to ask you? Like what information do they actually need? So treat AI like your friend as well. Like you're sitting next to your friend, you want him to generate scripts. So what you do now is you tell this person what your brand is about. You tell what type of scripts you're looking for, like what type of audience you're trying to attract. You're giving it all of this detail. Now, one thing, of course, you also want to avoid on the contrary side is giving it too much details. I see people just, like upload 20 transcripts, 20 videos, and I'm like, hey, AI, figure this stuff out. And then AI just gets confused over there too. So think of it as your friend. Like you need to make sure that your friend needs to understand what you do, what your goal is, what is the information that person can tap into to get more resources and more clarity on how they can perhaps execute this task for you. So if you utilize AI the same way, it's going to give you good results. There's no reason for it not to. But if you just type in a few prompts and it just gives you a lazy script and you get angry, that's pretty much on you. So yeah, that's just another bonus tip I wanted to add there. But if you are a service-based business and if you want pretty much, all of this done for you, whether it's the scripting, the recording, the editing, the publishing, pretty much the entire content. You're like, Arib, I don't want to learn any of this. I just want someone to, just do it for me. There's a Calendly link in the description. Just book a call with us. And this is exactly what we do for, like big businesses, for businesses which are service-based. Other than that, if you did enjoy this video or found something of value, please consider subscribing because it just helps the channel, and also like the video because it pushes this specific video towards new people who are, within the same sector as you are, which is business. And other than that, I will see you next week.